This is new video into our newsroom overnight that shows what conditions are like right now. This is a structure that rekindled in the middle of the night in Louisville. And this is why Boulder's emergency management wants homeowners to stay out of the area. This is just a few blocks north of a Vista Hospital near Dillon Road. The situation is not as volatile and ferocious as what we saw yesterday, but it can still be dangerous. And this video from a Ring camera shows just how quickly that fire spread. This was captured from a home off of South Boulder Road, just west of Davidson Mesa. And you can see with that wind whipping there, the flames spread very quickly. All mandatory evacuations outside of Boulder County have been lifted, and that includes the mandatory orders in Broomfield. Residents there can now return home, and those on pre-evacuation orders no longer need to stand by. Mackenzie O'Keefe is joining us live now from Louisville, one of the towns hit worst by the fire. And Mackenzie, we were on the phone earlier this morning as you were driving into that subdivision you're in, and you just said it's unbelievable.
We were just at a loss of words, Michelle, just to see all of the homes that were completely destroyed by this fire, just the frames and the foundation, all that was left behind. We were just escorted out of that area because of some hot spots and safety concerns. So we are just outside of the area, but you can still see there are some flames popping up even on the outskirts of this neighborhood. Firefighters still up there working on some of those hot spots. When we last saw you, some of those flames had blown into a tree there. So some dangerous conditions still in some of these neighborhoods. I will tell you, since we last saw you, the winds have died back down, so not too many issues as far as the wind goes. But out here in this field, Eddie, if you want to go a little bit this way, you can still see some of the hot spots and some of the flames that are still here in this field. And this is a backside of some of those homes and some of the neighborhood there. So still a lot of damage and a lot of hot spots and flames that firefighters are working on for those safety conditions here and around the area. But Michelle, as you mentioned, when we first drove into this neighborhood this morning, it was just heartbreaking to see all of the damage and destruction to so many homes and all of the livelihood of those families in these homes as well.
Yeah, you think about all those families that had to escape, not knowing what they were coming back to, and especially with the light of day and with the sun coming up, you're going to see a lot of that destruction. All right, Mackenzie, we're going to check in with you in just a bit. And this morning, we are also on a first alert weather with winter weather coming in. And Ashton, you know, Mackenzie was talking about some wind gusts she felt this morning. Nothing like yesterday, though.
We had 115-mile-per-hour wind gusts yesterday, the strongest we've seen anywhere in Boulder County this morning, 25, maybe 30 miles per hour. And at this point, the wind speeds in the Superior and Louisville areas down to just single digits. So, yes, it's come much, much later than we wanted. We wanted to get the calm wind as quick as possible yesterday. It's taken to this morning, but in most cases, we have very calm wind along the Front Range this morning. Snow will develop coming up next. That will be largely this afternoon. I'd be surprised if we get much, if any, snow prior to lunchtime today, and I'd be surprised if we get much, if any, accumulation prior to 5 p.m. Most of the accumulating snow will wait until after dark, and we'll get bitterly cold temperatures tonight as well. And speaking of cold, highs today will only be in the 30s, and that's where we are right now. So we'll go basically nowhere with temperatures. We're expecting about 2 to 4 inches of snow in Denver coming up tonight, and then maybe another inch or two tomorrow. Finally, the moisture we've been wanting for weeks and weeks and weeks. The lack of moisture, of course, a big reason why what happened yesterday happened. So we are finally getting the moisture. I just wish we could have gotten the snow yesterday instead of today, Michelle.
Yeah, no kidding. That would have made a huge difference. All right, Ashton, thank you. And right now, US 36 is still closed in both directions between Interlochen Loop to Wadsworth. There was no estimated time for reopening. Colorado 170 is also closed in both directions from Boulder to Superior. Let's get to the mayor of Superior, Clint Folsom. He joins us on the phone right now. And Mayor Folsom, thank you so much for getting up early and talking with us. I know you've been keeping an eye on all of this all night long. What can you tell us about the city of Superior and what these people are going through right now?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. We've got a tragic situation in Superior and our neighbor, Louisville, as well. We have collectively lost probably over 500 homes. And it is, when I left last night, it was still burning, and we've seen videos of that even this morning. So it's just a tragic situation.
Yeah, we've seen so much video of this destruction, of people escaping, low visibility on the roads due to all of that smoke. The winds were really bad yesterday. Talk to people this morning who may want to go out to their homes to go check on them because a lot of them escaped not knowing what they were going to come home to. It's still dangerous out there and people cannot go back.
That's absolutely right. I mean, I left as well, not knowing, and I still don't know what the situation is with my home. I do know we've got some family members that lost homes, and I'm sure people have gotten word via, images and videos that, and people want to get back in there. I recognize that, and we know that people want to get back in as soon as possible. And as soon as the sheriff's office deems the town safe, we will make those announcements and let people back in. But the winds alone created a tremendous amount of damage in certain sections of town. There were large trees in the roadways. Our original town had power lines down. So I know people want to get back in and see things, but it's a dangerous situation, not only from the fire, but just all of the other debris and other hazards that are out there. I drove around last evening with the sergeant from the sheriff's office and town manager, and it was devastating to go around and see what's happened.
Yeah, no kidding. We're watching some video right now of some of the businesses in that area, but we know these homes, we talk about structures being lost, but these are not just structures. These are homes for people. These are their livelihoods. These are places where they make memories for their families. What have you heard from some of the residents of Superior, including what you're going through yourself? You're a resident there as well.
Well, I've got two family members that lost homes, and they literally had minutes to get out, and I'm hopeful that we don't have tragedies from people that, either didn't hear the evacuation orders or didn't heed them. But this fire literally came in minutes from, the point when people had to evacuate. So it was, a lot of disasters. You have some amount of warning, forecasts or advanced warnings. This was just with these winds, it cut the time frame down to just really dangerous time frames for people to get out of there.
Mayor, I'm so sorry to hear about the homes of your two family members. A lot of families are going through that this morning, not knowing what they're going to go home to, and a lot of them have lost their homes. I just want to stress the importance of heeding these evacuation warnings because it's so important to get out there. Are you hearing of any casualties in Superior due to this fire?
I've not heard of any, but that's going to be part of the assessment here in the next days and weeks as we start to take inventory of the properties lost, and residents will be checking in with other residents to see, if everybody's accounted for. We will have to go through an exhaustive process to check in on everyone.
All right, Mayor Clint Folsom, thank you so much for talking with us this morning. Our thoughts are with you and your family members and, of course, the residents of Superior. Thank you. We want to check in right now with Connor McHugh, who has been surveying some of that damage and is with people who have witnessed this damage firsthand. Connor?
Yeah, Michelle, as we've been here throughout the morning, we've obviously seen how things have progressed back here and how the firefight has continued, but we've also seen a number of people, everyone from homeowners to people in this area just coming through to check on their properties, the properties of their loved ones. I've got three young men here with me who just came through here. Can you tell me your name and why you're here again?
Is my name, and all of us live in Superior. We moved out to Westminster after the evacuation happened, and we just came out here as early as we possibly could to try to make sure that all of our houses and stuff were okay, and come check on some of our friends' houses that we know were in the area of the fire.
And you were telling me you live in Superior.
Yes.
And first off, how is your property? Have you guys
my
seen your
property
neighborhood?
is fine as far as I've seen my house. It's okay, but in my neighborhood, it's really patchy with where houses are and where houses aren't. It's either your house is okay or your house is completely gone. It's really unbelievable, to say the least.
And so this is obviously the other side of town. This is in Louisville.
Yeah.
You told me that you guys are going kind of house to house. Why are you doing this?
We've got a couple friends who live out in Louisville who we heard have evacuated earlier, and we just thought if we're going to go look at our houses, we might as well just go, check on all of our friends and make sure that if somebody's house is there, we can tell them your house is okay, like everything's all right. You don't need to freak out, and if something's bad, we can let them know that they need to prepare for that.
And you said you have a friend in this area. Have you been able to see any kind of...
As far as we can see from here, our friend's house is doing all right, but this is like a block, maybe 2 blocks up the street from that, and there are just houses burned to the ground. It's truly surreal, to say the least. I have no words for what I'm seeing here.
It's really heartbreaking, guys. Well, thank you for talking to me. I'm glad
thank you for
your homes are okay, and I hope all your friends are as well.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Michelle, obviously, a lot of people wanting to know what's going on with their properties, with other people's properties. We know, as we've been told by officials, at least 600 properties in the area have been damaged or lost, and we're learning more and more this morning. There's still more damage that we're going to be finding, especially as daylight comes. Again, just lots of people with lots of questions, and we're hoping we can get some more answers this morning.
Yeah, as soon as the sun comes up, we're going to see a lot more of that damage, Connor. And it is a good reminder to just tell people that crews are not advising anybody to go out there and do assessments. They're still working on hot spots, and it can still be dangerous out there, right?
Yeah, of course. We've seen how quickly things can change, and that's why they are saying to stay away and give some space to the crews and be safe. So we would not suggest this coming out here and checking on it, Michelle.
All right, Connor, thank you. We'll check in with you in just a bit. And this clip from Broomfield Police shows officers driving through a neighborhood with homes on fire. The flames dangerously close to the road there. They were driving through Superior yesterday afternoon, and the Broomfield Police tweeted this message saying, "Our thoughts are with our neighbors tonight who lost their homes and businesses. We continue to assist our law enforcement and fire partners as necessary." With thousands of people evacuated, many are wondering what will they wake up to this morning once the damage from this fire is revealed. The Boulder County Office of Emergency Management Center will be reopening this morning at 9 o'clock for those in need of help. This morning, we are also on a first weather alert. And so let's get right over to Ashton to talk about this winter weather moving in. Should help those fire crews out there.
In the Louisville and Superior areas, over the next 24 hours, we should have at least 5 inches of snow on the ground. For the rest of the metro area, we're looking at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. So, yes, the snow is coming a day late for Boulder County, but it is on the way. And for now, the wind is much, much lighter as well. And luckily, this storm coming in, it has a lot more cold and snow than it has wind associated with it. So at no point today do we anticipate the wind getting anywhere near the strength that we saw there yesterday with those wind gusts over 100 miles per hour, hurricane force wind responsible for spreading that fire toward those homes that we've been talking about. So mostly calm this morning. The snow develops this afternoon. Snow and bitterly cold temperatures coming up tonight. Most of the accumulation for most of us around Denver, Boulder, and Fort Collins will wait until after dark today. A different situation in the mountains, where we also have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. And Michelle will talk more about that coming up.
All right, Ashton, thank you. And when we come back, we are live from Boulder County, where the Marshall Fire is burning right now. We're bringing you the latest on all the damage. That's next.
Tonight's lineup on CBS4 is sponsored by Sound Relief Hearing Center, changing lives one ear at a time.
Honey, come quick.
We are continuing to follow this devastating wildfire. Right now, a state of emergency has been declared. Nearly 600 homes and buildings have been destroyed, and firefighters are still working tirelessly this morning. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office will hold a news conference at 10 this morning to bring us an update. Tens of thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes, and it's still unclear when those people will be able to return, or if anything will be left of their homes. And Mackenzie O'Keefe joins us live now from Louisville. We know that you went to a subdivision earlier that's just completely decimated. You were there. There were hot spots, Mackenzie, and you had to move.
We did. So we're right above that subdivision. That's right back there behind me. We are on a hill kind of behind it near that Vista Hospital that was evacuated last night. And you can still see a lot of activity going on. It's an interesting vantage point from up here because when you look out over the city, you can see a bunch of different flashing lights, a bunch of different hot spots just all throughout these neighborhoods here. It really shows how much work is still being done to put out the flames of these fires. Now, the neighborhood down here we were just in just completely destroyed. It was just unbelievable and so heartbreaking to see all of the devastation that was left behind, mostly just the foundations and some of the brick fireplaces still standing from these homes. But you can see all of the flashing lights, firefighters working on some of those hot spots. And if you zoom a little bit to your right over here as well, you can see some of those flames and some of the smoke flickering up from some of those homes still here in this area. So still a dangerous situation. We talked to a police officer earlier who said because of these hot spots, they have not been able to do any search and rescue just yet. It's not safe to put crews in through that rubble. So we will be continuing to stay on top of this, but just such a sad and just heartbreaking scene for so many families here in this area, Michelle.
Yeah, no kidding, Mackenzie. It's hard to see all of that destruction around you. All right, thank you. This morning, we are also keeping an eye on the weather. Of course, it is a first alert weather day. So, Ashton, we know this winter weather is moving in. That'll be good for the fires.
Yeah, absolutely. We're already seeing some very impressive snow amounts in the mountains from this storm. That is a different animal compared to just about every other winter storm we've had so far this season, because this one will actually bring the snow to Denver and the Front Range starting this afternoon. Crested Butte is at 14 inches of snow in the last 24 hours. Aspen Highlands has 10 inches. Crested Butte is now over 7 feet of snow since Christmas Eve. Wind speeds in Boulder County down into the single digits. It's great to finally see the lighter wind. We still get an occasional gust of wind from time to time, but absolutely nothing like the 100+ mile per hour wind gusts we had in that area yesterday. The wind responsible for spreading those flames so quickly into the Louisville and Superior areas. Temperatures in the 20s and 30s up and down the Front Range right now. Radar over the last 6 hours showing a little bit of snow up along the Peak to Peak Highway. There's snow not far away from Louisville and Superior this morning, and it will move into those areas starting this afternoon. By tonight, we can virtually guarantee there will be no more flames in Boulder County with this cold and this snow on the way. Take a look at the futurecast. You can see the snow spreading east onto the Front Range urban corridor as we go through the day. Should be snowing for most of us around Denver, Boulder, and Fort Collins by 3 p.m. Most of the accumulating snow will wait until after dark, and then it will be snowing at midnight tonight as we ring in the new year. Snow tomorrow, mainly in the morning. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll just call cold. Winter weather advisory until 11 a.m. on Saturday for all the areas shaded in purple. On the eastern plains, 4 to 6 inches north of Interstate 70, up around Holyoke, Akron, Ray, Julesburg, Sterling, etc. South of 70, 1 to 4 inches for Lamar, Springfield. We'll see 6 to 10 inches of snow up in the northwest corner of the state near Craig and Meeker. For Denver, we're looking at 2 to 6 inches of snow for most of us. We have that winter weather advisory along and east of I-25 until 11 a.m. tomorrow. And then west of I-25, including Jefferson County and Boulder County, including the area of the fire, that is where we have a winter storm warning until 11 a.m. tomorrow for 5 to 10 inches of snow. So that's why we're saying at least 5 inches of snow will be on that fire area by the end of the day today into tomorrow morning. Farther to the west, we're going to measure the snow in feet, 1 to 2 feet total for I-70, Summit County over into Eagle County and into Garfield County, and then south of Interstate 70, 1 to 3 feet of snow for the mountains surrounding Aspen, Crested Butte, down into the San Juan. So it's going to be another huge storm for most mountain areas. Temperatures today in the 30s all day long. Overnight tonight will drop into the single digits. If you are going to be out and about tonight, make sure you're prepared for the dangerously cold temperatures along with the snow. It's not going to be a joke tonight. It's going to be extremely cold and snowy. Tomorrow, highs only in the teens for us, and then on Sunday, we finally start warming up a little bit. At least we'll climb into the 40s. We'll have to wait until early next week, first week of the new year, for a more substantial warm up. 48 on Monday, 50 on Tuesday. Michelle.
All right, Ashton, thank you. This is likely the most devastating fire Colorado has seen in state's history, and we know it's still burning. We know at least 600 homes have been damaged by this fire, many of those completely burned to the ground. There is going to be a long road ahead for those impacted.
Just to put this in perspective, in the summer of 2020, Colorado had the 3 largest wildfires in the history of our state. Each one over 200,000 acres. That's a number. Those are huge numbers. But what's important to recognize is while there were some structures lost, those were largely BLM U.S. Forest Service land. This area, for those who don't know this area of Boulder County, is right in and around suburban subdevelopments, stores. It's like the neighborhood that you live in. It's like the neighborhood that any of us live in. And so 1,600 acres near a population center can be, and is, in this case, absolutely devastating.
At this time, there is no one reported missing and no deaths. However, the Boulder Sheriff's Office says it would not be surprised if there are casualties. And just a few minutes ago, we talked to Superior Mayor Clint Folsom, who says that is going to be part of the assessment today to see if there are any casualties from this fire. Now, we do know that the fire is still dangerously close to homes, a lot of hot spots in the area. And our Connor McHugh is joining us live now from Louisville. And you are giving a close look at the destruction, Connor.
Yeah, and Michelle, we'll start with giving you guys a close look of what's going on here. Again, this is in Louisville, right near Via Appia Way and Pine Street in a subdivision right here in the corner. Crews have been here for at least an hour now. At least we've been here for at least an hour now watching these crews fight this fire. What you can see right there is you can see where that large plume of smoke is coming. That's kind of from what we can tell is the extent of the fire. And one thing we've noticed firefighters doing more and more is really dousing the homes nearby with water to make sure this doesn't spread, because as we saw yesterday, things can change so quickly due to wind or an ember moving around. So you can tell they're taking a lot of preventative measures here, spraying a lot of throwing down a lot of water on nearby homes. We've also noticed there is no power around here. That's another preventative measure that officials talked about yesterday, just to make sure there are no more issues, are no more triggers for any types of fire. But again, for some of the properties here, it is too late. These ones right here, the ones that you can see just right in the foreground of the shot, are owned by a couple who just came by earlier today and talked to us, said they are rental properties. They just came here with the smallest hope that there was going to be something left, and obviously they were incredibly disappointed and heartbroken, tears in their eyes, and really just trying to take in what they're seeing here. But this is just an example of what many homeowners here, many families here in Louisville and Superior are dealing with this morning as this continues to be a fight for firefighters.
Connor, you just get a sense of how erratic the winds were yesterday. Luckily, those have died down this morning, but you get a sense of that just seeing some homes completely burned to the ground and right next door completely intact.
Yeah, and I think this neighborhood is a good example to show. We've obviously shown you this property or two right here that is a loss from what we can tell, and we'll see a lot more when the sun comes up. But just right next to it, it looks that there's just a little bit of damage on that home. And then on the properties over here, it doesn't appear that they've been really affected at all by this. So it shows you how sporadic this is and how random it is, how this wind can just change things in a split second. And that's something that fire officials talked about yesterday, how this fire went the length of football fields in seconds. And you can also see it on a smaller scale in neighborhoods, how it just kind of skipped from home to home, as in our last hit, talking to you guys, interviewing a gentleman who lives in Superior. He said his neighborhood, it was just kind of every other home was gone, and in between there were some homes that were lucky enough to still be standing. So just on a smaller scale right here, showing how random this is and how heartbreaking it is for so many families that are losing their homes and their memories.
Yeah, completely heartbreaking. All right, Connor, thank you. It is 6:25 right now. We're going to take a little break from this fire coverage and check in with your morning sports.
From CBS4, time now for First Look Sports, powered by Ford.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Spencer with your First Look Sports. There was no Nuggets game last night. Their scheduled game against the Warriors was postponed due to COVID issues within the Nuggets. Head coach Michael Malone, Jeff Green, Zeke Naji, and Bolden's Highland were all placed in COVID protocols yesterday. So the Nuggets, due to COVID and their injury issues, simply didn't have enough players to play yesterday's game. We should learn more later today about their upcoming schedule. They are scheduled to play tomorrow night in Houston. As for the Broncos, they canceled practice yesterday. They did have virtual meetings, but they're dealing with some COVID issues of their own. We learned yesterday that Bobby Massey and Bryce Callahan will miss Sunday's game. They are now in COVID protocols.
Just ahead, our coverage continues with live updates on the Marshall Fire in Boulder County. Stay with us.
That was the Ford Sports Break, powered by the F-150 with best-in-class capabilities. No wonder Ford F-Series are the best-selling trucks for 44 years. Build better, build stronger, build Ford tough, and only at your local Ford stores.
CBS4 Dog Walk forecast sponsored by Canvas Credit Union. helping you and your loved ones afford life and extra treats. CBS4 Ski and Snow Report is sponsored by Alpine Bank. You are Colorado, so are we.
Celebrate the biggest.
This morning, we are continuing to cover the fire in Boulder County, but we are also on a first alert weather day. And Ashton, we know that's because this winter weather is moving in.
Yeah, that's right. The first alert weather day is for cold and snow. Fortunately, not wind. Out east, we're starting to see a little bit of light now on the eastern horizon. We are just over 45 minutes away from the sun coming up. And of course, that'll allow officials in Boulder County to get a better assessment of the situation. Cold and snow is our big weather story. Honestly, it's not that cold this morning. That's good news. Jeff in Thornton has 27 degrees. Some neighborhoods are above freezing. George Smith is almost there. He's at 31 in Lakewood. Radar over the last 6 hours showing the snow on the western slope. We've seen anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow in the last 24 hours for most ski areas in the state. And we have some snow falling in the foothills of Boulder County. And as the day goes on, that snow will make its way east down into Superior and Louisville. And by tonight, the flames will be completely out. We expect at least 5 inches of snow on the ground to blanket that fire area by tomorrow morning. And then for most of us in Metro Denver, we're going to get between 2 to 6 inches of snow. We'll talk much more about all of that coming up in your full forecast here in just a few minutes.
Well, as you said, Ashton, we wish that would have come a day earlier. That would have really helped out.
Snow's coming a day late, but it is on the way along with bitterly cold temperatures for tonight.
All right, Ashton, thank you. And we are continuing to follow this devastating wildfire. Right now, a state of emergency has been declared as thousands of people have been evacuated. Hundreds of homes and buildings have been destroyed. And right now, FEMA is stepping in to help with the damage of this unusual December fire. Firefighters are still working tirelessly this morning to contain those flames. A news conference will be held at 10 this morning with the latest on this fire. And many people are thankful to have made it out safely this morning, but some still have no idea what is left of their homes. And Mackenzie O'Keefe is joining us live now from Louisville. And you were standing in a subdivision not too long ago, Mackenzie, where it's just completely gone.
It is there's just no words to describe the type of devastation that we saw in that neighborhood, Michelle, and just how heartbreaking it is for all of these families who will come back to their neighborhoods later on today once they get the okay from police to see the destruction. It is just unbelievable to see. Now here behind me, we're near that subdivision, but also want to point out all of those flashing lights and the smoke you can see there in the distance. That's near that Target and the Costco where we saw some of the first images of this fire come through. People evacuating from that Costco. Also heard that Target there had caught on fire as well. So still a lot of fire activity, not only in the neighborhoods here, but also in some of those businesses in the more industrial areas. It really shows just how widespread this fire was in this area. And when we take a look from this overlook up here where we're at by that hospital that was evacuated, you can see different areas all across the city of Louisville down to Superior of different firefighters working on different hotspots. So it really just shows how widespread the damage was and how quickly moving this fire was yesterday. Again, a lot of devastation for families today, and it's a very, very unfortunate and heartbreaking situation to be watching. We've been keeping an eye on the firefighters here in this neighborhood we're showing you right now. We're kind of on the over ledge of it, but firefighters still out here working as hot spots still continue to plague this neighborhood, Michelle.
Yeah, we're going to see more of that damage as the sun comes up and more light is on the ground there. But it's amazing to see, this shot right now from photojournalist Eddie Castro, because you can see those hot spots just all around. So we know crews are working out there to try to contain all of it. Mackenzie, thank you. It is 6:33 right now. It is going to be another long day for the fire crews near Boulder County. Coming up, the latest from the Marshall Fire as it continues to wreak havoc.
CBS4 Traffic is sponsored by Butterfly Pavilion, presenting Flight of the Firefly Princess at Living Lights December 17th through January 2nd. Tickets at butterflies.org.
Hurricane force winds fired up in Boulder.
Black, windy.
These winds are whipping up that fire.
We have to evacuate.
Pack up what you can and get out of there. We have a first alert on the heavy snow coming in. Stay tuned to CBSN for the latest on our New Year's Eve storm.
King Soopers delivery is always fresh because we check our produce at every stop on its journey to you.
We are getting some unbelievable video of the fires. Take a look at this image of a firefighter. This is at a home in Superior, and it's about as close as it gets to the danger there. This first responder standing on the deck of the home, just engulfed in flames. Crews have been putting in some brave work like this since that fire was first reported. And this clip from Broomfield Police shows officers driving through a neighborhood with homes on fire. This was in Superior and US 36. And in a tweet, Broomfield Police says, "Our thoughts are with our neighbors tonight who lost their homes and businesses. We continue to assist our law enforcement and fire partners as necessary." And it has been a devastating 24 hours for Colorado. The Marshall Fire continues to burn in Boulder County, displacing tens of thousands of people. This is a map of the two fires that began yesterday. The Middle Fork fire started just after 10:30 in the morning, and that was quickly laid down and is now being monitored. But it is the Marshall Fire just south of Boulder that created all of this destruction. It began just after 11 yesterday morning at Highway 93 and Marshall Road, and it spread very rapidly. We know at least 600 homes have been damaged, hundreds destroyed, as you can see in these videos. The Boulder Sheriff's Office says the preliminary cause is downed power lines, and we also know of at least one injury to a first responder, although that was said to be just a minor injury to an officer's eye from blowing debris. We want to check in with Connor McHugh right now, who has been surveying the area to get a better idea of the scope of the damage. And Connor, we know that you've talked to people just this morning, some who have lost their properties and some whose homes still stand.
Yeah, Michelle, we know that a lot of people have a lot of questions right now with how quickly things have progressed over the last 24 hours. So we've seen people coming by, including the owners of these two properties right here, coming by to see firsthand that their property was claimed by this fire. We've also had people coming through here just checking on their neighbors, their friends, trying to get a glimpse, something we don't and officials don't necessarily advise, but people are still going through here, driving by, stopping by, hopping out of the car, trying to check and see what they can recognize and check and make sure their homes, their belongings are okay. And we've been here for more than an hour right now. You can see that right back there, they're still fighting the fire. There's still lots of smoke, still active flames. One fire truck has left, but there is still one here throwing water at the fire. And I think this is kind of a smaller example of really the conditions that everyone, every kind of crew is facing right now with the Marshall Fire. This is just a small portion of the subdivision, and they've been here at least an hour now fighting it, trying to contain it. Just think of, with the perspective of how many acres are enveloped by this fire or have been burned by this fire right now. Just think of how much is being done right here for just a corner of a subdivision, and think about the larger areas where crews are fighting even bigger portions of this fire and more areas. So we'll send it back to you, Michelle. We've got the police here coming to talk to us.
All right, Connor, we'll check in with you in just a bit. Thank you. And right now, about 15,000 people are still without power. Xcel has announced rolling blackouts in some mountain communities to compensate for the damage to its system caused by the high winds and, of course, the Boulder fires. And let's get right over to Ashton. You know, we know it's cold right now in those communities dealing with these blackouts.
It's not nearly as cold this morning as it's going to be tomorrow morning. That's going to be the bigger issue with the cold, Michelle. But the great news is that we have snow on the way, including for the Louisville and Superior areas. Those flames we saw behind Connor just a few moments ago, those flames will be no more by the end of the day today. We expect at least 5 inches of snow to be over that area. Wind speeds are down into the single digits for most cases. We do still have an occasional gust that gets up to maybe 20, 25 miles per hour at times, but that's it. It'll be a relatively calm morning compared to the 100-mile-per-hour gust we had yesterday. The snow develops this afternoon, and then snow and bitterly cold temperatures on the way for tonight, with single-digit temperatures and below zero wind chills as we welcome in the new year tonight. We'll get up to about 37 degrees in Denver at noon today. 38 is the best we'll be able to do coming up this afternoon. For most of us in Denver, 2 to 6 inches of snow on the way. More than half of that will come tonight. I doubt we'll get any accumulation in town before dark. We'll talk much more about your weather coming up, Michelle.
All right, Ashton, thank you. The governor has declared a state of emergency for the state of Colorado as these grass fires continue to burn. This allows the state to access emergency funds to help fight these fires. It's a clear indication of just how urgent this situation is.
Gusts of 100, 110 miles an hour can and have moved this fire down a football field in a matter of seconds. Very little time to get out, very little time to even get the most important parts of your life. And yes, it'll be a difficult process. for Colorado families who were directly affected to rebuild their lives.
Right now, there are 3 evacuation centers available for anyone in need at the YMCA in Lafayette, at the Northern Boulder Recreation Center, and at Rocky Mountain Christian Church. They are coordinating cots and meals for anyone who may need help. And there are also 2 locations for large animals to go. The Boulder County Fairgrounds filled up last night, but there is still room at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds for anyone looking to keep their animals somewhere. As we mentioned, thousands of people have been forced to evacuate their homes, and when the evacuation orders were first issued, people rushed to safety. This is video we want to show you from early on Thursday at the Superior Costco, and you can see that smoke making it really hard for those people to see as they're exiting. People were shopping when they got the call to clear out. They could hear those loud sirens as they tried to get to a safe place. Fire crews are hard at work to try to contain this fire. They're getting in as much help as they can from neighboring departments. This is video from West Metro Fire as they sent crews out to Boulder to help out. It is 6:42 right now. When we come back, we continue our live coverage from Boulder County, where the Marshall Fire has ruined and destroyed hundreds of homes. We are bringing you the latest on all the damage. That's next.
King Soopers delivery is always fresh because we check our produce at every stop on its journey to you. We're fresh.
Welcome back at 6:45. We are on a first alert weather day. That cold winter weather is coming in.
It sure is. That's right, Michelle. And we are about 35 minutes away from sunrise this morning, when officials and everyone in Boulder County will get a better assessment of the damage. Wind speeds are in the single digits, fortunately. We still have wind gusts up to around 20, 25 miles per hour every now and then, but nothing like the wind gusts that we had yesterday that hit 115 miles per hour at one point near Rocky Flats. Temperatures in the 30s for most of us this morning. In many cases, we're actually a little above freezing. 34 in Centennial. It's 36 in Broomfield, but 28 in Windsor. Look at the snow over in Boulder County. It's in the higher terrain of Boulder County, not far from Louisville and Superior. And as we go through the day, we'll bring that snow down here onto the Front Range Urban Corridor. This is what makes this storm different. Not only is there big snow in the mountains today, tonight, and tomorrow, there's going to finally be some snow for Denver and the Front Range. This horrible drought we've been experiencing for months, of course, a large reason why what happened yesterday happened. Along with the wind, and we're going to finally now start to see the drought situation improve a little bit with the snow that is on the way. We do have winter weather advisories up already for the eastern plains. We're looking at 4 to 6 inches of snow for the northeast plains, 1 to 4 inches down to the southeast, 6 to 10 up around Craig and Meeker. For Denver and all of us along and east of I-25, 2 to 6 inches of snow. Winter weather advisory. West side of town, including Boulder County, Jefferson County, and Larimer County, we're expecting 5 to 10 inches of snow. Winter storm warning until 11 a.m. tomorrow. For the mountains, we're going to be measuring the snow in feet again. 1 to 2 feet for the I-70 mountain corridor. 1 to 3 feet for Aspen, Snowmass down into the San Juan Mountains. Temperatures today in the 30s all day long. We're going to really notice that this Arctic front has arrived tonight with single digits, in some cases below zero. Air temperatures, wind chills will be below zero tonight, even here in the metro area. And then tomorrow, we only climb into the teens. On Sunday, we start to warm up a little bit in the afternoon. It's going to be another brutally cold start on Sunday, but then we'll get up to around 42 Sunday afternoon. Bigger warm up coming our way next week with upper 40s on Monday, 50 on Tuesday. Again, Michelle, for most of us around Denver, Boulder, and Fort Collins, 2 to 6 inches of snow on the way, and we should see at least 5 inches of snow accumulate over that fire area in Superior, Louisville, and surrounding areas.
That'll be such a relief for fire crews out there, so that'll be great, Ashton. All right, thank you. And of course, we are staying on top of this breaking news, this massive fire in Boulder County. This is video from the Bennett Watkins Fire Department, and you can see a neighborhood up in flames as thousands of people have been forced to evacuate. The governor has issued a state of emergency. Thankfully, there have been no reports of any deaths at this time. A news conference is set for 10 this morning, where we should learn more.
This is craziness and Chuck E. Cheese.
And this was caught on camera. New video showing panicked families rushing to the door trying to evacuate from a Chuck E. Cheese in Superior after these wind-fueled wildfires broke out. At one point, the wind was so strong, parents struggled to open the doors.
We're locked in.
It's okay. Okay, here we go. It's okay. Okay, here we go. I think it's the wind pushing against the door.
Is it?
Go.
Boy, you can get a sense of how strong those winds were, and look at that parking lot just filled with smoke. The video shows the family surrounded by all of that smoke. Just one of the stories of people getting out at a moment's notice and being evacuated. It is going to be another long day for fire crews near Boulder County coming up. The latest from the Marshall Fire as it continues to wreak havoc. It was a scary time for those forced to evacuate yesterday, and they didn't have much time to get out. This is video from Robert Gutierrez, who lives in Superior. He took this as he was fleeing his home, and you can see so much smoke and flames along the road, making it hard for anyone to drive through. Another man described to us the chaotic moment he was told to leave the hotel he was staying at in Broomfield. And our Mackenzie O'Keefe is witnessing some of this destruction firsthand this morning, live from Louisville. Mackenzie?
Good morning, Michelle. We last saw you. We were about 2 miles southeast of here. We now moved up a little further into Louisville. You can see some of the destruction here. We're off of McCaslin and Enclave Way. Right here behind me, what used to be a few homes, you can see a pile of debris there that's still smoldering a little bit here this morning, as well as what's left behind from a house. It's very devastating scene. We're watching fire crews just drive up and down McCaslin here. You can see right there, one headed off. That's because there are still so many hot spots in all of these areas and so widespread. This fire just really took a bunch of different pockets in different neighborhoods here in Louisville and Superior. So staying on top of all of these different locations this morning. Again, out here you can see not only what was left of that home, but right here some fence posts that are just the wood just completely charred and the rest of it taken off. So just some extreme devastation out here. It's just incredibly heartbreaking for these families, Michelle, and we'll continue to travel around the area and see what we can find.
Yeah, Mackenzie, I know you've had to move a couple times this morning because crews were concerned about all of those hot spots, and they're working on trying to contain those as well this morning.
They are, and I will say it is good that the winds have died down a bit. About 5:30, we had a little bit of winds that caused some of those flames to spark on trees and other things, but at this point right now, those winds are very calm, which will allow firefighters to get ahead of some of those hot spots and some of those areas of concern this morning.
Yeah, the winds nothing like yesterday. All right, Mackenzie, thank you. And this morning, we are also talking weather. It's a first alert weather day. Winds dying down, Ashton, which is great news.
Right. Yesterday's first alert weather day was because of wind. Today's alert is because of cold and snow, not so much wind. There is still some wind along the Front Range in a few spots, especially near Fort Collins. And then even here in Denver at the airport, for example, 26-mile-per-hour wind gusts at DIA. You can see the U.S. and state flag whipping around a bit downtown. 7:20 for our official sunrise. So we're inside 30 minutes before officials will really be able to get a better assessment of the situation in Boulder County as the sun comes up. Wind speeds in that area around the Marshall Fire still in the single digits for the most part. Again, we do still get an occasional gust up to 25 miles per hour. But remember, yesterday the wind was gusting over 100 miles per hour. So we're in much better shape in terms of the wind. Temperatures are chilly, but honestly, it's not that cold right now compared to what's coming later today and into tonight. Temperatures will be in the 30s all day. Snow develops coming up this afternoon. We'll start to get accumulating snow mostly after dark for most of us around Denver, Boulder, and Fort Collins. If your neighborhood gets any accumulation before the sun sets today, it's going to be very minor. Most of this snow comes tonight. We'll probably see about 2 to 4 inches in Denver tonight, and then another inch or two possible tomorrow. Most of the snow wrapping up by lunchtime tomorrow. But Michelle, the cold air, that's going to stick around for most of the New Year's weekend. And we'll take one final look at your extended forecast coming up.
Yeah, with everything going on today, Ashton, it's hard to remember. It's New Year's Eve, right?
That's right, yeah.
All right, Ashton, thank you. And we are, of course, going to stay on top of all of this destruction from this massive fire as we take a live look in Louisville at some of those hot spots that fire crews are trying to keep contained. We'll be right back.
CBS4 Closed Captioning is sponsored by Butterfly Pavilion, presenting Flight of the Fire.
We are continuing our fire coverage, and this morning we know neighborhoods that were standing just yesterday have been reduced to rubble, and our Mackenzie O'Keefe is witnessing some of that destruction. We were on the phone earlier this morning as you were driving into Louisville, and I just remember your reaction, Mackenzie, just saying you're speechless.
There was just no words, Michelle, to describe what we drove into this morning. We pulled into a neighborhood, me and photojournalist Eddie Castro, and it was just complete devastation, similar to what we're seeing here. We're about 2 miles northwest of where we were originally this morning, and you can see here along McCaslin Boulevard, some homes just completely destroyed. All that's left is a little bit of the foundation and bricks and just piles of smoldering debris here in this neighborhood. Also, the fence lines here, you can see that are completely burnt as well. We've been watching within the last 5 minutes a lot of fire crews heading north here on McCaslin, so there must be some hot spots here in the area that they're getting concerned about. But again, a lot of devastation this morning. Here across the street on McCaslin, you can see some of the hot spots here. There's some flames over here from where a home used to once sit. It kind of eerie with the sunrise in the background of this. It really shows all of the devastation and the burnt trees and vegetation, as well as what's left of those homes. So we'll continue to stay on top of coverage throughout the morning, as we know a lot of people are waking up to see what's going on.
All right, Mackenzie, thank you. And we want to get over to Ashton. We're talking about this winter weather coming in, and that'll help the crews out there.
Certainly. We can virtually guarantee all those flames will be gone by the end of the day, thanks to the heroic efforts of these firefighters, as well as Mother Nature, which is finally going to help instead of hurt. Winter weather advisory along and east of I-25 until 11 a.m. tomorrow for 2 to 6 inches of snow. And then west of there, everybody west of I-25, we have a winter storm warning for 5 to 10 inches of snow. Probably going to be closer to that 5 than 10 inch amount for most areas below 6,000 feet. But that warning does include the Superior and Louisville areas. Again, we're expecting at least 5 inches of snow on the ground in the fire area. Look how cold it gets. Tonight, 6 degrees above zero. That's the air temperature. The wind chill will be below zero tonight. So if you're going to be out and about for New Year's Eve, make sure you are prepared for the weather. It's going to be extreme tonight. Extremely cold. It's very snowy, and the wind's going to be fierce again. Tomorrow, 15 degrees for a high temperature. That's it, Michelle, only 15. And then warmer weather starts to arrive Sunday afternoon. We'll be back up to near 50 by Tuesday.
Thank goodness after that 15 degrees. All right, Ashton, thanks so much. And we have our pet of the week in the set today, which is great. This is David Bowie, and if you could see his eyes, that's probably why he was named David Bowie. 2-year-old male terrier mix, found as a stray. Timid at first, but good with dogs. Very friendly, which we've seen this morning. Can be shy at first, but it's a great family dog.